We are going to get into talking about SSH. This ends up being a super important topic for many engineers for a variety of reasons. But SSH stands for Secure Shell and allows you to connect from one computer to another computer. I imagine many of you have probably tried this before in some capacity. And if you've ever used Git, there's a decent chance you've used it in Git because Git underneath the hood uses SSH. Now, this particular section, I'm going to show you using multipass and using some specific features to multipass. So if you're using something like WSL or VirtualBox, I think this section you'll probably just have to watch. Or you could set up another VM in the cloud and connect to that. That's kind of up to you. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So again, SSH allows you to connect from one computer to another and allows you to remotely execute commands on a different computer, right? So this would be like I have a computer running out in my server farm, out in Azure or AWS, and I want to connect to it, do something, and then disconnect, right? When I used to run my own servers on DigitalOcean, I used to do this very, very frequently. What we're going to do is we're going to run a second VM locally on our computer, and then we're going to connect to that VM using a different VM. So we're going to have two VMs, and we're going to have one VM connect to the other VM. This isn't going to be super useful from the perspective of, you would never really need to connect to a second VM from your first VM. You could probably just use your host computer and connect to the second VM. But nonetheless, I want to show you how to do this. OK, so what we're going to do is we're going to get a second VM running. So if you're in Mac OS like me, you're going to open your terminal here. I'm going to open a second terminal here. You can do this with new tab here. OK, but notice this one looks different from this one. This is actually my Mac terminal. You can see here that this is actually this is not even running bash. This is running ZSH, and I'm going to run one command here. If you're running Windows, you're going to open PowerShell, and you can just hit the Windows button, type in PowerShell, and open PowerShell. And then I want you to run this command right here, multipass launch name secondary. Like that. OK, this is actually going to go and create a second VM on our computer. And you can see here I have a primary one that's already running, and then it's going to create a second one called secondary. Not something you necessarily need to care a whole lot about. Multipass is just a tool that you use on your computer to kind of simulate a cloud environment. But yeah, that's how we're going to get it working. This will take maybe, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds to get up and running. OK, and then here we can say multipass shell secondary. And you can see here I am now connected to Ubuntu at secondary. And you can actually see up here as well, secondary up here. You can also say open shell up there. You can connect to that. Cool. So I have a totally separate cloud secondary environment. You can see here I have Ubuntu at primary and Ubuntu at secondary. You can imagine these being two separate computers. Like maybe primary is my computer that I have at home, and secondary is one out in the cloud, or maybe they're two different VMs in the cloud. But yeah, they're two different computers basically running on our computer. So the first thing we're going to do on secondary is we're going to add a new user, something that we've already done before. So I'm going to say sudo user add. We're going to give it a default shell so that before, remember, we were using that weird dash shell. This time we're going to use bash. So you can say -s/bin/bash, and this will have it start bash instead of that weird dash one. We're going to give it -m, which will give it it creates the user a home folder for you, so you don't have to create it for them. We're going to give it the group of Ubuntu, so it has all the same permissions as Ubuntu, and we're going to name the user Brian. OK? Pretty straightforward so far, and now we're just going to change Brian's password. Something super simple. OK? And so now if I say switch users Brian, you can see here, I'm here as Brian. You can see that I'm in Ubuntu, and it's running bash as my shell. And it also created a home directory for Brian as well.